Hello everyone, my name is Abhishek and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, let's take a look at very detailed roadmap on how a software engineer can upskill themselves with AI and become an AI software engineer. Basically, everyone wants to learn AI today, but the challenge is they're not sure where to start from, what all AI tools to learn, what all concepts to learn, and how to become AI developer, AI DevOps engineer, in general, AI software engineer. That is exactly what today's video is going to cover. Now, a very big disclaimer, this video is going to be long because this video is not going to teach you how to become or how to upskill with AI in 2 to 3 days or couple of weeks of time. We are going to cover 8 different phases and we are going to cover 30 different concepts in today's video. Overall, this is 40 to 50 day roadmap. So only if you are interested in spending time in upskilling yourselves, then watch the video. Perfect. Now, without wasting any time further, let's get started. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, there will be 8 different phases in this roadmap. Let's start with phase 1, fundamentals. So what will you learn as part of the fundamentals? Let's break this down into 3 parts. First part, understanding large language model. So basically, what is a large language model and how does this work? That's it. Then understand what are tokens. Tokens are very useful. They can help you reduce your AI billing. So you should understand this. Then understand what is a context window so that you can provide more and better context to AI and get the response that you are looking for. Then understand what is AI inference or LLM inference. Finally, understand what is the difference between a reasoning model and a standard large language model. This is important because you need to know when to go with a reasoning model and when to go with a standard model so that you can again reduce your AI billing. This becomes your part 1. Then part 2 of phase 1, understand prompt engineering. Now I'm sure today everyone knows what is a prompt. Prompt is a way to interact with a large language model. But the question is, why few people get better response from AI? Some people get what exactly they are looking from AI, but others find it difficult. All of that is because of prompt engineering. So in prompt engineering, there are various techniques. For example, role-based prompting, very commonly used. You must have seen people saying, hey ChatGPT, act as a software engineer, act as a doctor, or act as a senior SRE engineer. And then they give the prompt. This is called role-based prompting. That way, there are different techniques. For example, context-based prompting. There is something called few-shot prompting, n-shot prompting, chain of thoughts prompting, right? I've covered most of these topics on our channel, but still, these are the things that you have to learn. And then, once you understand these different prompting techniques, then go ahead and understand the large language model landscape. Today, you have thousands of models out there. A few years back, GPT models were the only models. So it was clear to people which models to go with. But now there are different models out there. For example, there are frontier models. That is the models from OpenAI, Anthropic, Google. Then there are open models. Basically the open source models where you can publicly see the weights of these models, how the training process is done. And if you want, you can redistribute these models. Then there is something called coding models, like the Quen model or the Claude model, right? The Anthropics model. And finally, local models. Local models can be open source, cannot be open source, but basically you can run these models on your local machine so that you don't have to pay to Anthropic or OpenAI. So you should understand this landscape, right? Which models are popular in frontier models, which models are popular in open models, coding models, and local models. Now, this will conclude your phase 1 of preparation. Overall, this will take 4 to 5 days of your time, right? And you should spend 4 to 5 days because fundamentals are very important. As I told you, unfortunately, a lot of people skip fundamentals and they directly head to phase 2. I would also blame organizations for this. So today organizations expect their employees to use AI powered engineering, basically use ChatGPT, use GitHub Copilot, use Cloud Code as part of their day-to-day activities. It's good, but they should first encourage their employees to learn the fundamentals. Only then go with AI powered engineering. Anyways, now we are all used to this term, right? Using ChatGPT, using Claude, using OpenAI models, or maybe using GitHub Copilot. But there are two parts in it, right? Let's say you are a beginner or you want to revisit the concepts. Again, there are two parts in it. The first one is using AI through the chat experience. Like every day we use ChatGPT. Otherwise, there are options like Google Gemini, right? Explore the other options. Then using AI coding agents or AI coding assistants. Basically install Visual Studio Code or maybe install Claude Code and start experimenting with these things. No, especially if you have some open source contributions in the past, you get GitHub Copilot for free. Otherwise, you can try some free trials, install AI coding agents, and start experimenting with them. Or within your organization, if you have access to it, it's more than good. But another unexplored path in AI powered engineering, that is part 3, is workflow automation using AI. So today, apart from AI chat agents or AI chat assistants and AI coding agents, there are also workflow automation AI tools. For example, N10 or sim.io, sim.ai. So even explore these tools because they have become very, very powerful. In fact, they can, like you just have to explain the workflow to it using some flowchart diagram or DAG, and it can write the entire code for you and it can implement the end-to-end automation as well. Especially if you're into automation testing or DevOps, explore workflow automation tools. So this will conclude your phase 2. In phase 2, mostly you're already aware of AI chat assistants. You're already aware of using AI coding agents mostly. You have to spend some time in workflow automation tools. This will take 2 to 3 days of your time. Perfect. Now let's move to phase 3. What will you learn once you understand the fundamentals and once you understand how to use or how to become an AI powered engineer? Then the next thing is using the APIs of AI, right? What does this mean? So today, if you look at models like OpenAI, they can be used through this chat GPT or they can be used through Visual Studio Code. But otherwise, let's say you are building an application. Okay, I'll give you a simple use case. Let's say you are building an e-commerce website. Within the e-commerce website, you have AI chat these days. How does this work? Like you ask the chat something, like at the bottom of your e-commerce site, you might see something like AI help. You ask a question to it, where can I find XYZ product? And it instantly gives you the response. How does this happen? Basically, AI takes your question. As a user, it takes the question, the chatbot, and it makes an API request to OpenAI model, or maybe it makes a request to Anthropic models. And this request is basically an API request. So if you're working as DevOps engineer, developer, or automation tester, in future, you might also have to implement something like this. So you need to know how to interact the models through the APIs. Just like how we all interact to or with Jira through API today, or maybe we interact with GitHub sometimes for automation with API. And you don't have to learn a lot of new things here. For example, if you're using Shell, you can go with curl. If you're using Python, you can use the API model. Or if you're using any programming language, they have the API modules. You just need to know how to make this API request. But while learning about API request, you should also understand how to secure these API keys, how to create an API key, how to secure it, how you can make sure less number of tokens used during your API request, how you can ensure rate limiting so that even if your API key is lost, you still have the rate limit set so that you are not heavily exploited, or you don't run into any ransom attacks. And at the same time, again, this is also part of your phase 3. There is a very good concept called open router, right? Open router implements the concept of model routing. Also, it is good to understand this concept, right? It might become too much if I explain what is model routing and open router at this point, but just take a note of it. During this point, in the phase 3 of your learning, also explore open router. Perfect. Now let's go to phase 4. My favorite phase. Personally, I enjoy this a lot. Local models, right? I feel the future is local models. So I would recommend everyone to definitely learn this. See, today you pay a lot of money to Anthropic, you pay a lot of money to OpenAI so that you get response from their models. But there is also other way where if you have a good laptop, you can install the models on your local machine. This is where open source models comes into picture. For example, Llama model from Meta, right? You can download this model and you can use this model. Of course, the response from them at the moment is not as good as your frontier models or your cloud models, but still they can do good. The question here is, how do you download these models and how do you use the models? So this is where you have to use some tools. You have to learn about Olama, you have to learn about Hugging Face, and you have to learn about Docker Model Runner. In shorthand, it is called DMR. These are 3 popular tools today that can help you download the open source large language models, and they can help you run the open source large language models on your machine. While doing this, understand about the concepts like what are weights in large language models, what is quantization. With very good quantization and GGUF, you can even run the models on your CPU based compute. But again, the performance might not be very good. And also learn about fine tuning the large language models. Perfect. So this will be your phase 4. And there are very lightweight open source models. For example, if you go with DeepSeek, DeepSeek is very light. Or if you go with less billion parameters of Quen model, it is also lightweight. So give it a try, even if you don't get response back from AI, but still you understand the concept. In future, we will all have GPU based machines like laptops or even mobile phones. So during that time, this will become handy. Or even during your interviews, you can just say, I know how to run models locally. Now we will head to interesting concepts. Okay, these are kind of basic concepts that we have learned till now. Now we will go to phase 5, context engineering. Right? As I told you, here things will be more interesting. You will learn things in advance. What exactly is context engineering? Right? When you are working with, let's say, 50,000 lines of code, context becomes very, very important. Otherwise, you don't get good response back from AI. So you should know how to maintain the context management, how to use retrieval strategies, how to pass long context to AI agents, maybe through prompts, and also you need to know about agent memory, right? Agent memory is becoming very, very popular these days. There are 3 different things here: short-term agent memory, long-term agent memory, and semantic agent memory. Understand all of these concepts. Basically, why will and how will this help you? As I told you, if you are working with large code bases, it will be very, very handy. Then as part of your context management, you should also learn about Model Context Protocol or MCP. Understand what is MCP architecture, what are different MCP servers, what are MCP clients, and how do you connect a large language model to MCP. In fact, I've covered these things, like I've covered agent memory, I've covered MCP, all of these concepts in our videos, but still make sure you go through these things. Then in the phase 6, learn about RAG and knowledge systems. RAG is basically helpful for your enterprise AI. I'll give you a simple example. Mostly when you work with AI is good with public information. But within your organization, you might have a lot of data, especially of your proprietary tools, or maybe data that is very specific to the how you use tools within your organization, right? Maybe architecture of your Kubernetes cluster, architecture of your AWS VPC, architecture of your application. AI does not have an understanding of it. This is where RAG comes into picture. So RAG will help AI to understand your organizational data and even help with your organizational information. The same analysis, the same summarization that it does with public information. But you cannot directly learn RAG and implement RAG. For that, the prerequisite is that you should understand what are vector databases, you should understand what are embeddings, right? And how to use these vector databases, like install, pass data to it, embed data into it, and then how to build a RAG system. You can use databases like Oracle as vector database, right? Or you can use MongoDB. Most of the databases today can be used as vector database. So pick up any database and start using it and learn how to build a RAG system on top of it. This will take at least 1 week of your time if you spend it well and if you try to perform some demos on it. Then move to phase 7. In phase 7, deep dive more into agents, right? I'm talking about agentic AI experience. For example, how you can orchestrate multiple AI agents. Let's say you're working on building a huge application. You are building that application end to end. How can you use one of the agent as a planning agent, one of the agent to take care of your agent memory, one agent that can implement a task for you, other agent that can implement, let's say, unit tests for you. How do you build this agentic AI experience, right? For that, there are tools. Even you can do it with open source tools. Best example is Crew AI. I performed multiple demonstrations using Crew AI. Then I also explained about LangChain in one of our videos. I covered LangGraph as well, a detailed deep dive with, we did it using Union AI and we also did it using Flight, the open source project. So these are the concepts that you need to learn. If possible, you can also cover AutoGen. Not mandatory, but this is also a project that is gaining significance these days. So go ahead and learn AutoGen as part of your agentic AI experience. But most importantly, Crew AI and LangChain as well as LangGraph. Finally, your phase 8. Phase 8, now there is no tools that you're going to learn here, but in phase 8, try to build end-to-end projects. Right? Until you build end-to-end projects, your learning journey is incomplete. So basically, you can take n10, for example, and build an end-to-end project. Or maybe you can take Cursor IDE along with Claude if you have access to it, or use Visual Studio Code along with, let's say, GitHub Copilot, and integrate MCP to it, integrate RAG to it, right? Pass agent skills to it, and try to build an end-to-end project. For example, we recently did 5 AI projects on our channel, right? Created an AI Kubernetes agent. We created AI DevOps team. So build some projects like that. Or maybe your personal projects. You can create an e-commerce site, or you can create AI Ops project, right? This will complete your learning journey. If you want, there are more advanced concepts as well, but make sure you complete these concepts. And overall, this will take 40 to 45 days of your time. At least do 5 AI projects end to end so that you have command of all of these concepts. So starting with the first phase, start with the fundamentals of AI, where you understand large language models. What are the basic concepts like tokens, context window, hallucination, reasoning. Then go to prompt engineering, understand different prompt engineering techniques, landscape of large language models, what are frontier models, coding model, open model, local models. Then go ahead, understand about AI powered engineering, right? Understand how to use AI with AI chat assistants, AI coding agents, and workflow automation tools like N8N. Then understand how to interact with AI using the APIs, right? You can pick up curl, you can use some Python module, interact with OpenAI API, and do a simple proof of concept. Then learn about local models, the open source models. How can you run them locally using Olama, Hugging Face, Docker Model Runner. Then head to phase 5. In phase 5, learn about context management. Very, very important, like agent memory, or how do you pass large context to AI, how do you use MCP so that you can get latest and greatest information from the documentation. Then learn about RAG, retrieval augmented generation. See how to use vector databases, understand the concept, how you pass the information to vector databases, and how you make AI to get the information in real time from vector databases. Then your phase 7, learn about agentic AI, tools like Crew AI, LangChain, LangGraph, and AutoGen. Finally, do 5 projects on AI with all of these concepts so that you can master these concepts. All right. So that's the roadmap, guys. I hope you found the video insightful. I hope you found this roadmap genuine and honest. A sincere suggestion here, if you're taking any paid courses or if you're going to any offline institutes to learn how to use AI, make sure they have covered all these concepts. Otherwise, your learning path is incomplete. If you still have any questions, do let me know in the comment section. See you all in the next video. Take care.